The morning after, the movies.
But I hope you leave enough room for my fist because I'm going to ram it into your stomach and break your goddamn spine! Ah!
Uncensored, spoiler-filled movie reviews and fun only available at xrock.com.
I'm gonna scissor kick you in the back of the head.
Movie time.
Hey, buddy, ever heard of a line?
Hey, have you ever been dragged to the sidewalk and beat until you pissed blood?
Starts now.
I'm gonna take you to the bank, Senator Trent. To the blood bank.
Hey, it's season 5, episode 2 of the Morning After the Movies podcast. It's me, Big J. We've got Randy over here and Mr. Nick.
Hey.
How you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
What happens when you let me lead things off? It's just
What?
It's like a first date.
How are we doing today?
sorry. I felt like it's my podcast. I don't know. You made me talk first.
We're doing great, man. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Good, man. Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Yeah, man. Mortal Kombat. Let's start with the history lesson. How well versed are you in the combat verse with a K, Big J?
Oh, man. I watched all the movies and played all the games.
How many movies were there?
I think there was 3.
Okay. Because I know there was Mortal Kombat, the Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and that's where it lost me.
Yeah, I mean they were well, and there's a reason they were pretty forgettable.
Yeah, that's for sure. And so you played all the games too, like
not all of them, but most of them.
Okay.
You know, and I mean honestly, with all the DLC, we talked about this in the morning show. This last game, I'm like, damn, it might be kind of fun to play. And Adam had given me some tips. Just because he's been playing, he's played it here and there. So, you know, there's a lot of cool extra characters, let's say.
Yeah, because Rambo was one of them, right?
Rambo, the T-800 from...
Did you play it?
No, I never did.
Okay.
No, because
Randy,
I would have had to go buy it. I'm like, I'm not going to go buy it just to play that.
Randy, how well versed are you in the combat verse?
I've watched none of the movies, and I do like Mortal Kombat. I mean, the last game I played was like Mortal Kombat 3 on Super Nintendo, but that game was awesome. And I have the newest one on PS5, which I've played a little bit of.
Nice.
So not super versed on it, but I do know like some of the characters. Don't necessarily know the backstories and all their different powers and whatnot just from playing.
Why no movies then? If you liked it so much,
I don't know. I don't think I was that into it. And maybe
90s,
just
bro.
What's that?
It was 90s, man.
we're betting like 0 for 90s for you so far with Terminator 2 and Mortal Kombat and Godzilla, and some of these things were very 90s, Randy, that you just missed out on, my friend.
I know. I don't know why. I never got into the movie side of it, but I did like the games. I've always liked the fighting games, you know, but like I said, I kind of cut it off on Super Nintendo days. I never really played anything beyond that, except for the new one, which is super fun and awesome. So
see, I remember Mortal Kombat as more of an arcade game than anything else. I don't think I ever owned the game myself, but I remember, like, you know, again, the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, going to the arcade, you would do Mortal Kombat. That was the way you would go. You had your favorite character and you would play it. So button mash the hell out of it. That's what I remember Mortal Kombat from, for sure.
Yeah, that's the games I played. I haven't played any on the console before.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh,
So
man.
that's kind of where we are on it. And then I guess let's get into the spoiler-free review. Of course, Mortal Kombat you can check out on HBO Max if you want to. You can go to the theater if you want to too and check it out. Let's start with Radio's Big J. What did you think of Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, you know, I like the opening. Well, first and foremost, I had some issues with my HBO Max, which really sucked on my Xbox for whatever reason. And because, you know, it had 4K. I mean, I had, you know, surround sound headphones on. I was really into it actually when it started, but I was having problems. So I had to go to a different TV, which wasn't as nice. But the first, you know, that first opening sequence, I actually really, really liked a lot. And then you get down into it and there's, you know, what I've seen from a lot of people saying, yeah, this movie doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, I don't know if it's supposed to. I mean, it's based off of a damn video game. But to me, the important part about Mortal Kombat that needs to be there is great fighting sequences. And I think there were some really good fighting sequences, especially in the beginning. I think that held up really well compared to some movies that are out there right now that you can get on streaming. We talked about this for Streaming Dumbass Nick, Jiu-Jitsu, which was with Nick Cage. Man, that movie was terrible. This movie's fight scenes are 700,000 times better. And so that was really something I thought was great about it. And then, of course, you had what you were told in most of the previews and things, the gory fatalities in here, and they're there, and they're a lot of fun. I mean, it's a fun movie, and so I actually had a good time watching it. And the story, I mean, is we'll get into it later. Is pretty laughable and ridiculous. But I mean, it's another world that's coming together, and you have fighters who were representing Earth. I mean, you can't expect a really decent plot line on that, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it's for a video game that is basically two characters fighting each other, and some of them are not human, let's put it that way, and others are. There's only there's pretty limitations on what you could do for a plot for a movie like that. But I was going into Mortal Kombat and I had very low expectations, and I tell you what, I enjoyed the movie, man. I really, really did. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, the fight choreography had a lot to do with it. And I don't think I let myself kind of get all caught up in the plot, which basically was Outworld v Earth. And so that was kind of the basic premise of it. And yes, there's goofy stuff that goes along with it. But man, I laughed way more than I thought I was going to laugh at this movie. I enjoyed the fighting scenes way more than I thought I was going to. I enjoyed the characters way more than I thought I was going to. And again, I don't know the backstory about all these characters either. I mean, I remember the dude with 4 arms. I remember a couple of the characters from the video game, but that's like the extent of it. And so basically, I just kind of turned my brain off a little bit and just enjoyed it. And I liked the kind of story that they set up. It was simple enough. And then the fight scenes were more, entertaining enough. And yeah, the fatalities were interesting enough and reminded me, like, I would remember like some of the characters. I would go, God, I don't remember how they finished the fight. And then it would happen. And I would go, oh, that was it. That was how the video game worked out. And yes, it looks kind of goofy sometimes in movie form, but that's the idea. And yes, it's a gory movie. But the blood to me reminded me of the video game blood. Does that make sense? It didn't really look like real blood,
Yeah, no, it looked real splashy and just, you're right. You're absolutely right. I didn't even think about that. But now that I'm thinking about one particular sequence, you're right. It did look just like the game.
Yeah.
Well, even just the opening scene does when he puts the sword through the wall and it goes up and you see the splatter. That's when I noticed.
Ruined
it
the
too.
movie for everybody. Jesus.
Well, you can watch the first 7 minutes online for free, whether you have HBO Max or not. And so, yeah, I mean, I walked in not sure what I was going to think about it, but I actually enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to. Randy, your overall thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, so I came in with a little bit more expectation only because of all the reviews I saw on Facebook, not the official reviews, but people posting stuff about how much they loved it, which is all got to be based on nostalgia. And that's what it was for me. I think that's the reason I did enjoy parts of it, was because of the sheer nostalgia. Like you said, the fatalities and the finish him and all that stuff, just it kind of came back for me. Even playing on Super Nintendo on Mortal Kombat 3 and kind of remembering those codes to do the fatality at the end. And like you said, what it would end up being. So, but yeah, the plot stuff, boy, there's a lot of characters, a lot of things going on. I think they log jammed a lot of characters into this to try to get almost everybody. Obviously, we'll talk in spoilers about the characters a little bit more, but I enjoyed it from a nostalgia perspective. Plot line and stuff, maybe a little bit. There was some fun stuff in there and things that happen. But yeah, like you said, it's super gory, which you would expect from this game. I mean, the movie based on this game, that's what all that was. So overall, I mean, are we doing letter grades?
Yeah, letter grade it.
I'd say a B minus.
B minus for
B
Mortal
minus.
Kombat. Big J, letter grade for you.
Yeah, I'll give it a B.
I'll give it a B as well. So pretty solid. I mean, listen, I don't know. I imagine probably Big J, if you saw it on the big screen, it might actually enhance your experience considering the issues you had. But I'm not sure this is one of those where I'd be like, oh, I'd like it so much better if it was on in a movie theater. The effects and the blood may bother me more on a big screen. I don't know. But I would still say, like, if you're a fan of what you have going on, go check it out in a movie theater if you're feeling comfortable doing that. I mean, I think it would, if I paid $11 for this movie, I wouldn't be pissed when I walked out of it. I would be pretty happy that I did. So I would say it's worth checking out in a theater. Jay?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Randy?
Yeah, I think you'd have to, based on what you just said, in a theater would be much better. And it was made, 4K, Ultra, whatever. So it's supposed to be looking good up on that screen with those effects and stuff. So, yeah.
Okay. So we recommend that you go check out Mortal Kombat. I think it surprised a couple of us. And then I guess disappointed, Randy, because of all the Facebook reviews that you saw?
Yeah, it was just a bunch of friends posting how much they loved it and were super into it. So I expected it to be, it's kind of the same, but again, it's all based on nostalgia. So I wasn't disappointed. I think I was kind of just wasn't excited, wasn't bummed, right there in the middle.
It's so weird. Like, it's weird what we get nostalgic about, because I don't know like anybody that loves the Mortal Kombat movie. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yep.
mean, it's not one of those deals where everybody's got like this huge connection to it. Like a couple of people have like a video game stuff, but nobody goes, man, I can't believe we're finally getting a Mortal Kombat movie again. And
Well,
maybe that's why I was so surprised by it.
here's a perfect example of the opposite of that, and that's like the Rambo movies, right?
Right.
We're all excited for the last Rambo movie, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it was very, very goofy.
so
was
that I
fun.
get the nostalgia part of that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I mean, I guess for as anybody could be nostalgic for a video game series that's still kind of going on, I guess it kind of makes sense that nostalgia plays a part in it. But overall, a pretty good movie. So check it out if you get a chance. That's the general overall review. Let's get into the spoilers, and I'm sure we're going to get into some details here.
Spoiler ahead!
Spoiler!
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert!
We're going ballistic, man. Go get him.
Spoiler alert.
Randall, start with your spoilers. Get into it.
Yes. So I got to say, my favorite part of the whole thing, I think what brought it all together for me was the Sub-Zero and Scorpion face off, because I don't know about you guys, but that's part of why I think I had issues with the plot, because playing the game and not being familiar with the movies, all I did was play with the same like couple of characters, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, maybe a couple of others. So I wasn't as familiar with like their backstories and what they all do. Because
Well, Randy, let me stop you right there. Whatever backstory that's in the first movie is not part of this. They're completely made it up, and whatever backstory is in the video game doesn't exist. So this is a
Right.
completely new thing. There's no backstory for any of these things. That they're all starting from scratch. Is basically like
Okay, yeah.
Sub-Zero is not like this immortal dude, and neither is Scorpion. I think Scorpion went to hell because you remember you could take off his mask and he had the skull and he could breathe fire. So there was some sort of connection there, but never ever anything to this stuff that I could remember anyway. So you're in the clear when it comes to the story of these characters.
Okay. And I know like on the new PlayStation version of the game, they have story modes and that kind of stuff. But back in the day, we didn't have that. It was just straight up fighting.
Right.
And you picked the characters that you liked. And for me, like I said, it was always Sub-Zero and Scorpion. So it was really cool to see those guys come head to head there at the end. So for me, that was a great ending. Honestly, the whole time I thought the main character, Cole, I thought he was Scorpion. For some reason, I thought he was going to end up.
I thought he was going to end up
Scorpion.
being Scorpion too. Me too.
Yeah, and I was waiting for it because at one point he had yellow wristbands or whatever it was.
Even his shirt was yellow, kind of a thing that glowed.
Well, it's his great granddad.
Bloodline, baby.
Right.
Bloodline.
Yeah, so that was a little bit that threw me off. I did know a little bit early on because I googled real quick like some of the characters to remember who some of the characters were, and in that I saw who played Scorpion. I was like, oh, it's a different guy. So before the end of the movie, I realized that. But yeah, that was pretty much. I mean, I liked that part of it. There wasn't really much else spoiler wise that I can really conjure up other than just the plot's weird. And I guess the ending, let's talk about the ending, because that's clearly leading into a second movie, right?
Oh yeah,
With
yeah, for sure. Well,
the
here's
Johnny Cage setup.
Here's the thing that I was going to get into about the plot. It's so weird that the movie is all about this tournament, but they never ever have that tournament, man.
Never.
I mean,
that's
all
because they're
this-
cheaters.
Yes, all this stuff takes place before the actual tournament. So I'm guessing the movie then leads into like Mortal Kombat 2 will be that tournament. Now, who the outer world gets to fight for them at this point, I'm not sure. Listen, they got plenty of characters to choose from, make no mistake about it. But they've obviously wiped out all of the outer world contestants, and Earth is looking for more, which is leading into Johnny Cage, which is like the only character from Mortal Kombat 1 that didn't make his appearance here in this particular movie. That's what it's leading up to. So that's the lead in for sure. But I thought it was really interesting that really it's all about this tournament, and then all this stuff happens before the actual tournament is supposed to actually take place, which is funny. Wherever that happens, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And was there any characters that got left out besides Johnny Cage, or is it going to go into 2 with him and then that's probably it, right? I mean,
well, listen, there's 11 Mortal Kombats. So if you ever do a search, like after the movie, I did a Google search for Mortal Kombat characters. And listen, I already didn't recognize like 6 of the characters from here. I didn't know who Melina was. I didn't know the lady who had the dragon wings was. I didn't know who the whoever dude that looked like he was Bane from Batman was. I didn't know. I remember the hammer guy. I remember the four-armed dude.
Yeah.
I remember Sonya Blade and Jax with metal arms. And I remember, but also Cole is a completely new character too. So they completely made him up for this movie. He's not in anywhere. And so there's a mixture of new and old and also like a bunch of stuff left out. So they got plenty to choose from. iconic wise, Johnny Cage is really the only one that they're missing, I think, from the movie.
Did they say who was going to be Johnny Cage? I thought there was a big hullabaloo
but
about that.
they're like the internet is begging for Miz from WWE.
Oh, that's right.
Johnny Cage.
He looks
but,
like him.
Yeah, but there hasn't been any casting announced yet. No.
So here's what the movie is. Just like that Cole guy, he gets in the car with Jax like really easily, like a guy he doesn't know who's been following him,
right?
For the most part, and with his family, and like, yeah, let's go ahead. We're gonna believe everything that this guy says right now. And there's some dude with ice going all over the place. I mean, that's just a really out of bounds. And then when that whole fight gets done, they go to this motel, and the kid goes to bed right away.
Kid's tired, man.
Yeah, but you just witnessed like some weird heavy bleep going on. You're not gonna be able to go to bed. That's ridiculous. But those are just some really stupid things that I thought was happening. They could have done without those. And obviously, Kano being the comedy relief was a lot of fun. And
I loved Kano. Loved him.
Yeah,
loved
me
him.
too. And you knew that turn was probably going to happen at some point because he's always been one of the bad guys. And so I thought that was a lot of fun. And
I was hoping he was going to turn around, though. I was sad when he died because I was like, oh, man, that would have been great to have him come back in Mortal Kombat 2 or whatever, because I really, really like that character, man.
They can do whatever they want to do. I mean, it's
a video game.
I didn't get the vibe like, hey, we're going to need to be vested like we are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with some of these characters. They can come back however they want. They're gods are throwing lightning around all over the place. And then that Jax kill with the exploding head. And the blood going everywhere. That's the scene that we were talking about earlier with the blood that looks like it is in the movie. And I was like, oh, that wasn't as gory as I thought it was going to be. I mean, like Game of Thrones when the mountain, shoves his fingers in that dude's eyesight. Now that was awful and gross and horrifying. This was just, your typical horror fun kind of gore.
The hat bandsaw was pretty grody. I mean, that
was the worst part.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Was that
like, was that a move in the game? I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
I think it was.
Either way, that was crazy.
And I think that was the first fatality, thing that they did.
It was. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was. Yeah, for sure. One of the things that stuck out to me that was super goofy, that right away that I laughed at, that's not actually funny but cracked me up because it's a movie, was the very first cage fighting scene where they introduced the character of Cole, and he's obviously like this fly by night MMA fighter that's not very good and is fighting for
champion,
right? $200 a night on 30 minutes notice, and his only ring person is his daughter. And in this fight, Cole is getting his ass kicked and is getting choked out and is losing consciousness and is bleeding out, and his daughter screams, "Don't tap out!" like he wants her to keep fighting when clearly he's going to have some irreparable damage done to his brain if he does not stop this fight. And she's screaming at her dad, who she's supposed to love, "Please don't tap out." Meanwhile, you should be concerned for your father's safety.
Dad to be a loser.
Yeah, I guess that's it. But man, I was just like, dude, if he doesn't tap out, he's going to crack his neck in half. But either way, that was funny to me. And then the other thing that bothered me about the movie was, they talk about how the gods can't get involved, the protectors of the realm. But, obviously the Raiden is supposed to be the Earth's protector. And Shun,
terrible job.
And I can't remember the name of the big bad guy for the other team, but he clearly gets involved and kills one of the guys, and Raiden is nowhere to be found. It's like I thought it was leading up to some sort of god battle as well in this one, probably saving it for the next one, clearly. But that was the one thing that was weird to me. Like they're very, I guess, conscious about the gods not getting involved, but when they do, the other gods just like, hey, hands off, bro. That's the way it all works. But otherwise, I mean, it was a fun, goofy movie, I thought, overall. And you can have problems with the plot of this movie, of course, because it's Mortal Kombat. I mean, it's not going to be, it's not Citizen Kane, that's for sure.
I think for any movie that has come from an origin of a video game from the 80s, you shouldn't have any expectations at all about a plot.
No, you're right. And Randy's right too. I mean, the thing that they have done is they have developed a story mode. So maybe they've pulled from that. I mean, again, I'm not well versed in any of these characters' stories in the current world of Mortal Kombat. So they could have pulled from that. I don't know, but you're right. I mean, Jay, when you're thinking of the arcade version of Mortal Kombat, it's just like pick a person that you think has got a cool fatality and then smash the buttons as fast as you can until you get to that fatality and try to unlock it. That was the plot of Mortal Kombat when you were a kid playing the arcade game. But it was a fun game, and it is a fun movie as far as I'm concerned. I am interested to see what they do in down the road with some of these characters. I did enjoy the character of Sonya Blade. The one thing that was a little bit goofy to me too was listen, I'm all in for an R-rated movie. Swearing doesn't bother me, but sometimes I felt like they were swearing just to swear in this movie every once in a while. And that was a little bit weird. Like the mom is like just dropping F-bombs in front of her kid.
Cabal had a potty mouth for sure when he came into the scene.
Yeah. So it was fun. I thought the visual effects were okay. The only one I really had an issue with was the lizard that was turning invisible.
Oh, I didn't have that on my notes.
What's the matter?
Well, I was going to like that. It's totally stupid to even have that character in the movie. Like, why? I mean, just send assassins, you know?
Well, that's what it's supposed to be. That's supposed to be an assassin. Well, he's an outer world character, you know? I mean, why send the guy with 4 arms, right?
Yeah. I don't want to know in my Mortal Kombat movie.
But I mean, I think the lizard is a character. I do believe it is a character in one of the Mortal Kombats, which is why he was in it. I don't think they made them up from scratch, but I don't recognize it from the first couple of movies. That's for sure. But either way, I thought it was fun. I mean, listen, we could have issues with it all day long, but overall, I would say go check out, I think, and enjoy it and laugh along with it. Because again, these spoilers are goofy and funny. And I don't think any of it's supposed to be taken too seriously when you're talking about a fighting tournament between whatever the outer world is and the Earth realm, and why the prophecy is 10 in a row and then you take over the planet is weird.
Yeah, what happened in best of 7?
Why it has to be 10 in a row, and then they clearly say they've only won 9 in a row because they've cheated before. And so it's a very interesting story to have a little bit of fun with. But yeah, no, it's not going to win any Oscars for writing, that's for sure. But it is a fun movie, and I enjoyed it. Anything else to add, guys?
No,
that was good. Nostalgia always wins.
It's fatality for nostalgia in this particular case. So
get over here.
Yeah, get over here. The finish him and Sub-Zero and Scorpion. And then did you guys stick around to hear the new Mortal Kombat theme over the end credits?
No.
Oh no.
You just turned off the second.
Yep.
I mean, the song does start up right away.
I fast forward to see if there was like scenes of Johnny Cage or something. But
was there? I actually didn't even make it all the way through.
There's no.
I stuck around to hear the song because that's the one thing I remember from the movie was the house music bass thumping song from Mortal Kombat, and they did an updated version of it from Lords of Acid in this time around. So it's fun if you're into that kind of thing. That's going to do it for Morning After the Movies, Mortal Kombat. Big J, did you decide if we're going to do that Amazon Prime movie next?
I think we should. It's got a big enough, movie star in it, Without Remorse, Randy, from Michael B. Jordan on Amazon Prime. I think it would be a lot of fun.
Okay.
Sure.
That's going to be the next movie in the old podcast series. So make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, make sure you download, and make sure you rate us as well to keep us moving up those podcast charts. And remember to watch the movies, have some fun, and enjoy it. And we'll see you next time here on the Morning After the Movies podcast.
Bye.
Ciao.